All right. Well, welcome back to the monthly coaching club, guys. I can't believe the year is officially half over. And we've had tons of great guests, but today's guest, I'm super excited about welcoming Brad Allen, who is a partner and the broker in charge and a bunch of other fancy titles at the Art of Real Estate in Columbia, South Carolina. You also have offices in Greenville and Charleston, I believe.
Yep, kind of.
You've got people in Charleston.
We got peeps.
So Brad and I have been friends for years. He is a fellow 30 under 30, which is how we have kind of become close and expanded our network. But Brad is also, many people do not know about Brad, and getting to know him has been a true pleasure for me. But what many people don't know about Brad is he, in my eyes, is also one of the smartest people in real estate. He's not afraid to try a little bit crazy things, a little bit left of center. And he's also not afraid to pull the plug on things that aren't working, which I think are two extremely valuable qualities to have, in terms of becoming successful and staying successful. I think in real estate, we spend a lot of time and money, either thinking about starting or not pulling the plug when things aren't working. So commend you for that, Brad. So Brad, I covered a little bit, but tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here.
Yeah, so I just came up in my 13th year in real estate. Got back in 2006 when nobody could fail and everybody was millionaires, and quickly learned that was not true in 2008. But I left college, went straight into real estate at 22, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, thought I could just conquer the world in a market that I wasn't from. And quickly got slapped with reality that real estate's kind of hard, even in 2006, especially that sphere, especially being 22 when the average agent at that time was 60. So I was pissing agents off. I was pissing off for sale by owners. Like I was just doing all the wrong things. And what I did fall in love with, though, was like the philosophy of it and trying things and being a fixer and a problem solver. So that's kind of led me to where I am now, which is a co-owner of my business partner, Mary Lane Sloan, who's a rock star, of an independent boutique. We were with franchises before, and we've been a company for about 4 or 5 years now. Mary Lane and I have been partners for 12 years and made every mistake possible and then tried to make every good correction from there. But we have about 13 agents. We have we're physically in 2 markets. We have an office in Columbia and an office in Greenville with 7 full-time staff members. And we do around $75 million a year in volume with an average price point around the $200,000 mark. So we're no big $1 million listings here, but we have the staff because of the amount of volume we do. And we have the staff because we like to, cliche, say we put the consumer first. So we compartmentalize it to do so.
Yes. So we're going to dive into that consumer first kind of model here in just a second. But before we do, I think it's important to note, Brad, you were in real estate for what, almost 10 years before you actually launched the art. I think that to me is so impactful because so many of our listeners and so many agents in general are new agents that see folks like yourself who have really built a remarkable business. And it's kind of why maybe now we're the people that give folks the wrong idea that like, hey, this is easy. Hey, you can make tons of money. You'll be great. And so talk me through kind of when you were at that 8th, 9th year, you've been through a lull, you've been through the highs of highs. And I think that, by the way, is important. That's obviously going to be part of the story. But what kind of made you feel sort of ready to make the move, or at least ready to make the leap?
Yeah, there's a couple of things, I think. When I first got started, I was, I don't even want to say this on a recording, a glorified assistant. I mean, I really was. I was helping bigger agents that one became my partner. Yeah. And so I started seeing the system side of it. And I started seeing agents doing a ton of business, like literally not answering emails with people wanting to give them 15 listings because they're too busy. So I looked at the structure of it. And that's when we started kind of creating the team. And I'm not here to knock on any brand or any franchise or anything like that. But I feel like the disconnect back when I started was teams were formed and began because they were filling the gap of what single agents couldn't do and what offices weren't providing.
Yeah.
The name of the game is more splits, the higher splits, but the less I'm going to give you. And then you had to like rally up with friends and say, hey, let's drop some money on here and let's hire an assistant together. And so we started a team, and then we failed through that a couple times. Not failed, we just failed forward. And we started that. And what happened was the recession happened, and we had to take a long look and say, do we want to stay here? Our current owner was shutting us down. And do we want to stay here? Do we want to go to a different franchise? Do we want to do our own thing? And we kind of dismissed that immediately. Because I believe until you get to a certain income level, it's well worth paying a company to make sure the lights are on, the internet's working, 100%. The doors are locked, trash is out. But when it came to 2014, I guess, when we opened our office, we started looking at going, we're flipping from a Prudential to a Brookshire, so we're having to rebrand. And I looked at the amount of money that I was personally, like I wrote checks to Warren, like directly to Warren Buffett saying, here's my money. And we said, you know what can we do a little better with this? What flag could we fly? And so we took that money and invested it into staff and resources. But I usually talk people out of opening companies or starting teams because you got to have the right mindset. And I'm not the best real estate agent by any means, like horrible real estate. So, the problem with being a team lead or a company owner is there's not a lot of money in it. So a lot of people think that's the end result, and oftentimes it's not. But we need people to open these companies. And so when I realized the dollars and cents, I couldn't fail by leaving my franchise because I was giving so much money to them and not getting the support. Now, if I was getting the support dollar for dollar, I'd probably be there forever.
Yeah. So walk me through this, because if you've got somebody that is thinking about, hey, I don't know if going and starting a team somewhere or even starting a brokerage somewhere is for me. I mean, what do you recommend? Do you recommend kind of that side-by-side comparison of what's the support you're getting and what's that worth versus if you weren't paying in this split, could you provide the same level of service? And I think that's something that a lot of agents struggle with. Is that kind of how you went about it?
It is. It really is. We looked at what we were spending and what it would take, and we didn't know everything, even though we planned for a year and a half to leave our company. I mean, we had a lot of it done. We still didn't know everything. I mean, I got the other day, here it is. I got an audit form for my workman's comp. I don't know the hell to do that. Like, I got to spend a day pulling numbers for workers' comp, but I got to have it. So that's the stuff that people get bogged down in. And if you want to be that team lead or that owner of the company, you have to understand that you have to take your income off the table. Yeah. You're no longer going to be a producer. And if you're going to try and produce and run this, it's tough. It's real tough.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's dive into this consumer-centric approach that you have. It's something that I think we hear in real estate, with just about every company. Right. And I always almost laugh when I hear it now because I think it's become that buzzword that every company is saying, whether they're small, large, medium, anywhere in between, we're all about the consumer. And the reality is, as a broker owner for you, your client is in part your agent as well. And for the agents, their client is the actual consumer. Right. And so as a broker, you kind of have to shuffle both interests, which is where I think sometimes this consumer-centric approach gets lost. Tell me how you guys are a little bit different and sort of what consumer-centric means to you.
Yeah, so it's a philosophy shift. It's putting your money where your mouth is. And you can make some agents a little upset by saying this, but I believe broker in charge in the state of South Carolina, the clients are mine, although I don't work with them directly and the agents work with the clients. But my job as a company is to provide a phenomenal experience to the consumer. Like you said, most companies, their customer is their agents. I don't see it that way. I see like our company like a wheel and everybody's got a piece. My coordinators, my listing coordinators, my closing coordinators, photographers, myself, my agents, everybody has a piece. As long as we do a good job, that ball's going to roll and everybody's going to be just fine. Yeah. But if there's a flat spot, it's going to be known and it's going to show up very quickly. And usually the people that fail at that are the consumer, because it goes back to the philosophical shift of all of real estate that give agents as much money as possible because that's what they want and they deserve it, right? But also, I'm not going to support you and I'm not going to train you. And hopefully you go sell that so I can take some of it when you sell it. Right. I'd rather be invested on the front side to help my agents take off everything that they're not good at so they can focus on the consumer, because that's their job, is focusing on them And then we help them focus on the other small stuff through coordinators and other people. So I have agents that it doesn't work. It doesn't fit for them. They want to be a lone wolf and they don't want to answer their phone for 3 days straight. And the client calls me saying, hey, your coordinator said that I was going to get my market update on Tuesday and Johnny was going to call me, and it's Friday and Johnny hasn't called.
Mm-hmm.
That's not acceptable. Our job, we put it out there so you had a tee up to talk to our client together and you crap the bed on it. That is not acceptable. And
No, absolutely. And I think that's so key, is like what I'm hearing over and over is you're running a brokerage in a lot of ways like a true team, but your level of accountability for these agents is just like a team, which I think is fantastic, because I think that to me is the failing of brokerages on a large scale. And I'm not singling anybody out, but it's that desire to hold people accountable, because am I collecting desk fees or am I collecting commissions? And my attitude is, if you're truly consumer centric, if you've gone through that kind of philosophical shift, as you put it, you are saying it's my job to help the consumer by putting the best agent out there.
Right.
And handling everything that agent can't handle on our and is that how you would describe it?
For the most part. Now, the agent in our company is still the quarterback, so we're not one of those companies that as soon as you go into contract, you'll see them at the closing table. And our coordinators are not assistants. They are people that help facilitate the transaction, give them updates. So they're not sitting there calling the attorneys and lenders. And also my coordinators aren't out there selling. Everybody's in their lane and doing what they need to do. And the other thing I think is really important is helping the consumer. So like I have this whole theory that all clients are crazy, but the agents make them crazy, right?
Right.
Like they do. And so like, imagine if you just took a step forward, and maybe a lot of your viewers are doing this because they're obviously really smart, is they're doing pre-inspections on houses, right? We have stagers that come in and consult with them for 2 hours at our cost. We have an appraiser go measure it, all at our cost, actually the agent's cost, but I'll bore you the details. But typically we tend to get a little higher commission rate. So we bring this value, they see it, and they're willing to pay us for it. And it helps us help our clients be less stressed. Because imagine you go into contract, you're excited, like, well, what if they find some repairs? What happens? Oh my gosh, I can't fix it. Imagine if you knew about this before you even put the house on the market. So if you did have a big repair, you disclose it, you set money aside, or you negotiate to it. So that's the consumer. What are their emotions? What are their objections? Let's go ahead and get in front of those and let's talk about it. And if they don't want to get in front of it, then I don't have to work with them because I can't sell their house or get them what I need. Yeah.
So kind of the industry, as you and I both know, and all of our viewers know, is sort of constantly changing.
Right.
And so this role of the agent really has evolved over time. What have you guys done to kind of stay ahead of that curve, or do you feel like you're able to stay ahead of that curve, or how does that work?
I do. I feel like agents are downplaying the commission, right? And I'm not trying to get the NAR lawsuits or anything like that, but over time, more agents in the market breeds competition. And what agents like to do when there's competition is undercut the others. Mm-hmm. And they should. Honestly, 90% of the agents need to just not charge our clients anything because they're actually worthless. But the ones that are, step it up. So that's the part, is going above the objections, talking through with the clients, because that way you give the person with the most knowledge the most power. So that's what we're doing. It's the inspection part, but it's more than that. It's staying in touch with them every 2 weeks at the least, excuse me. But it's being a consumer advocate for them. I mean, I think Mary Lane, who does it, she'll do 120 deals this year herself. She sends flowers to her clients on listing day. I mean, like, if I got flowers, I'm like, yeah, thanks. But most of them love it because they're like,
my wife would be stoked.
Yeah. Or if the house has been on the market a month, she'll send them a gift card to dinner and saying, hey, thanks for hanging in there with me. I know the average was 17. We've hit a hiccup. Like, go take a relaxing evening on me. Like, we're still working hard to sell it. So
that's great.
Yeah,
and
we're babysitters.
It's a constant reminder, because I think a lot of us kind of get caught up in servicing the transaction and doing the work. And then we sort of struggle when, a house isn't selling, or, you don't have a whole lot to report. Like, as we all know, kind of once you go into escrow, there's sort of these lulls once you go through certain negotiations, and like, what are you doing at that point? Yeah. So that's really, I love that she's doing that. So talk me through, you can be a little bit of a bulldog. In a good way, like you're like a lovable bulldog, but you take some pretty firm stances on some kind of like sacred beliefs in real estate. And like, for instance, I know that you will not hold open houses, which I think is fascinating. I actually agree with why you won't do them, but you've got to get some pushback from clients. So, you to talk us through, for instance, the open house thing of like, you won't do it and how you educate the consumer as to why you won't do it.
Yeah. So first of all, I go to most of our listing appointments, and it's not the Brad Allen team by any means. I just go help as a broker. Imagine that, helping my agents get business. They get to meet the broker who doesn't compete, and I get to go away. But if there's a problem or when somebody goes on maternity leave, I'm there to help, which helps our agents. But that aside, we set it up on several ways. One, I don't do anything just because I don't want to do it. I do it because I can prove it. So in our market, if you watch NAR statistics, it's always been less than 1%. We're a driving community. We just don't get a lot of sales from open houses. And we did it for 3 or 4 years straight. Between the newspapers messing it up and the addresses being wrong and that crazy guy stealing our directionals, like it just wasn't working.
Right.
But if you really look at the stats, like, is that really the best use of your time, the highest and best quality of your time on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon? Now, you're in DC, you're in Denver, you're in Boston, sure, have at it. That probably does work. Concentration of people, it works. Here it doesn't. In majority of America, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But again, agents aren't taught or trained how to be actual like advisors and being somebody that can bring value to their clients. So they give in and say, we're just gonna do an open house. And yeah, you can BS me and say, I might get a buyer from it, but shut up, you're lying. Like you're not. What you're doing is you're appeasing them.
They're probably going to buy a different property.
Exactly. They're just there to look at the house. So at the listing point, we talk about it and we just say, listen, here's kind of what we do. Here's our philosophy. We talk of philosophies at listing appointments. We don't talk brass tacks. We just say, here's how we believe on certain things. And one's open houses. We tell them that they don't work statistically. And actually most people, when I say that, they go, oh, thank God, I really didn't want people coming through here.
Yeah.
So I wonder the people that don't say that, like the other agents, if they're just like, oh, I guess we're going to do them because that's what they said.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fascinating because the first time you and I ever talked about this, you said exactly that like most people were kind of relieved because they were like, oh, I didn't want people coming through here anyway. And I was like, that's so fascinating to me because I think so many people do certain things because they think that's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Like, I'm a big believer that I think people challenge you on your commission because they think they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Not because they don't value you or not because they want to get the best deal. They just think they're supposed to. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of agents are battling that in this market right now where you're not really getting a whole lot off list price and things like that. But the clients, the buyers are sitting there saying, I got to get something.
Yeah.
Like I need something to feel okay about this. And so you kind of really explaining the philosophy behind why you do what you do, not just what you're doing.
Right.
Me is sort of that slight edge competitive advantage that you have when you go and compete against somebody else.
Right. And we also can follow it up. So a couple other things, if I need to, I'll go down the route and really explain to them how open houses started. When there was a book and a CB radio, and I got tired of going over there every day at 2:00 and 4:00 because somebody called me. So I said, everybody come at Sunday at 2:00. I'll be here. And then, hey, you brokers come at Tuesday, and I'll bring you a sandwich. And now you come look at it so you can preview it, which was asinine. Or I go the really hard route and go, do you want random people in your house? Like look in your kid's bedroom, knowing what their names are. If 4 people come in the door and I do carry a gun, one goes up, one goes down, like who's going to stuff me into a closet?
Right.
Like you don't let, and so I usually can scare them out of it too. But I also do. Comforting. Mamas go on with it though. They're like, all right, I get you. But then I say, but we do a Matterport. We do a 3D mapping of your house. So if we're in a military town. So whether they're in Korea, which we get a lot of military from there, Hawaii, they can look at it at 2:00 in the morning, and they don't have to worry about them just coming at, whatever time it is, 2:00 on a Sunday. Yeah. Plus, I mean, it cost me $50 extra, but now I don't have to spend $300 and 2 hours of my time on a Sunday to sit in the house when somebody can go straight through it from a sign.
Yeah. And one of the other things that you said when we first talked about this that I love is you talked about kind of demonstrating your value by saying that the people that you bring through the doors of that house are qualified to buy that house.
Absolutely.
Which I think is incredibly compelling as a homeowner myself of, look, it's not just random onlookers. It's not just your neighbors. If you want to have your neighbors over, have a barbecue.
Yeah.
But like, if it's people that can always contact me. And that's something that I think is really powerful that you said, no, I'm not going to be here Sunday 2 to 4,
right.
and anybody can walk in. But if somebody sees the sign in the yard, my number's on there, and I will come and show this house any time of day.
Absolutely.
Like, we will make sure that the people we bring in, they're accompanied by someone and they're getting that personalized experience as they walk through the house. So I thought it was really impactful. And again, it goes back to, the open houses are just one example, but it goes back to when you sit across the table from somebody at a listing appointment, it's so easy to just kind of read down the list and say, these are all the things that I do.
Right.
And the reason why people devalue real estate agents is nobody's impressed when you say, these are all the things I do.
Right.
When you explain why I do these things. And like, I always go back to in a marriage, like, if you mow the lawn, your wife isn't all that impressed. But if you say, honey, I'm mowing the lawn because I know we're having a cookout on Saturday and I want the yard to look really nice, like, that is thoughtful.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to like, you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing, kind of, And so I think that going back to explaining with why, there's that book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. I think it's really impactful when you're talking about, okay, I'm starting with why in terms of why I'm doing certain things and internal motivation, but it's also really impactful to be able to convey that to consumers in a really eloquent fashion.
Absolutely. And one last thing I've said to people in the past too, on the open house stuff, which I know we're kind of jumping on, is, if I thought I could stick somebody in a house and sell it, I'd have 400 agents and I'd sell them, and like, I would do it. Like, that's easy, but like, it doesn't work. And I say, I haven't done them in 7 years and we sell 350 houses a year. I think we're doing all right. And it's not just open houses. It's speaking with authority or bravado, enough bravado that they don't question it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when you're iffy and you're like, I could do one on the third week. If it doesn't sell, they're expecting it. They think you're just throwing spaghetti, no matter what the topic is.
I think that's absolutely true. I've as an agent and as a broker and as a coach, I have either sat in or walked in open houses where I just see them as massive waste of time for the agents who are sitting there wasting, 2 to 4 hours of their day as no one comes through.
But it's ingrained in I'm not going to get on it. It's ingrained in our tradition. You're a brand new agent. You show up to a company and they say, hey, go do some open houses. And the older agent's like, please God, go do one. And you think that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, that is powerful about this conversation, and I know we kind of are beating this horse dead, but I think it's a good, example and metaphor for our industries constantly evolving, is you going back to why they were done that way.
Right.
When open houses were a thing, you flipped open the newspaper and you saw the front elevation photo. And that was the only photo you could see without contacting a real estate agent. And like, the consumer can see 99% of what they're going to see in an open house online without even contacting you as the listing agent these days. And so to me, that kind of has shifted. Okay, like, there's people out there that are doing open houses still, but I think it's an antiquated way of doing business. These are all of the new things that I'm doing that can actually grab consumers' attention.
Exactly.
And that's really powerful. So we've kind of talked a lot about listings, and with your services at ART, obviously, as successful real estate agents, we go after listings. You list last is kind of the logic. Mm-hmm. But buyers are a natural part of the process.
Yeah.
So with all of this kind of marketing bravado that you guys have behind you, what are you doing to appeal to buyers as well? Because I think a lot of us are so focused on like the marketing element of it that we kind of forget, okay, why am I more valuable than Brad is as a buyer's agent?
Right. So a couple of things. If you really, you got to study the trade, right? And I think one of the best ones that the NAR does the home buyer profile every year. I've got copies of it printed out, even though I don't really print anything. and you can watch the trends, you can watch the years, and you can see what buyers actually want. 5,000 or 10,000, whatever the interview, what they actually want. And sure, it's to open up houses, but then it's paperwork and the process. Couple that with the targeted demographic you're going after. I'm a big believer that you sell to your age level. Like that's where you're most comfortable. So if you're 22 trying to sell $1 million houses and it's not a $1 million market, you're missing the beat. Like you'll get there, just hold on. So look at your target demographic. And so I'm the top end of a millennial, and most of my agents are in their 20s here.
I'm glad you owned that you're the top.
I am. So we got to look at it in that stance. So we do a lot of video content, a lot of Facebook advertising. I have an on-staff videographer now because I want to dig deep into that. So we're dropping these nuggets of like 10 reasons you shouldn't buy don't buy a house if you have these problems or this. That's what's getting people to understand. So we're educating them about the process. And when we do, they feel that contact with us. So that, and I think one thing that we do is a little different than most people. It's nothing really special. I'm looking around my office, see if I have one. It's a leather bound portfolio. It's a leather trapper keeper. Let's keep it old school. But inside is like the buying process. We've got tabs in there, but they're not janky like yellow tabs with the orange tab at the top. You slide, they're branded. They cost me $23 a piece. And the front page is custom to the person we're meeting with. And has the whole process laid out. And we give it to everybody. I go through like literally $10,000 or $12,000 of these a year. My agents don't pay for them because we're setting the perception that you could be 100,000 or 500,000. But here, we want to give you this and go through it with you, keep all your documents. And this is a joyous experience. And like, you should feel like $1 million. And there's not a lot of ways to make a buyer feel like $1 million.
Right.
But they take it on showings and everything.
I think the process is so important. Like, for instance, I have a client right now who's a lender himself, and he knows that side of it.
Yeah.
But there's been so many questions along the way of like, but I don't know when this happens or how this works,
right,
whatever. And so I think the assumption that people know is something that we have to slash.
Yes.
People don't know. And that's not like you have to treat them like they're idiots. You just have to treat them like you are the professional that they're hiring. I have access to WebMD too, but that doesn't make me a doctor. And so I still listen to my doctor because my doctor, I feel like, knows what they're talking about if I go see them versus like, I'm not walking into their office saying that sort of stuff.
Right.
And so I think that is kind of the shift. And I love using that example because it's so off the wall ridiculous that like you could self-diagnose from WebMD versus going to see a doctor. That like, that's like you saying, okay, I have trouble when I meet with clients and they're telling me what their Zestimate is.
Right.
Like Zestimate is the web or the real estate equivalent to WebMD.
Very true.
And that's not a knock at Zillow. That's a great thing for Zillow because that's the source that people are going to.
Absolutely.
But you have to be able to explain kind of what's going on and why that's different.
And going back to the open house where I say we're not doing it, they're like, thank God, because they reserve it. So same thing, people aren't going to ask you questions. So they don't want to look stupid. But when we have this laid out and we write these things, and we do it on the listing side too, if an engineer was going to ask us questions, like we give them all the nuts and bolts and just bore them with it. But if they want to read through it, it's there and they can answer their own questions. If they're too scared, I guess, to ask us, they look like an idiot. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So tell me this, and this is a question that we ask all of our guests. And I didn't necessarily prepare you for that, but that was by design. How do you get some sort of balance in this business? I mean, I was with you at the 30 under 30 mastermind, and we talked about balance and how it's not really a thing. But I mean, as you've grown this monster, for lack of a better term, how do you kind of stay in touch with, the agent, your wife, your kids, all of that?
I don't. I mean, I'll be honest. I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're awesome. And I have a wife that's awesome. The way I tell people, because you'll drive yourself nuts trying to find a work-life balance. Yeah. I think what you have to do is, if you want to get into real estate and not get paid like a 9-to-5 job, you have to transition to a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And it's making time for when you can make time, and it's working when you can work. And that might mean till 7 o'clock some nights, and that might mean that I can go in late the next day. Yeah. I've had to be a lot more intentional in the last couple of years with kids. And honestly, it's rough on the marriage. I'm married to a marriage and family therapist, so she's not afraid to pull me aside and talk about it. And I'll be honest, it's been tough because I wasn't realizing how much of a shithead I was. Mm-hmm. So I've been very intentional, like, okay, I'm taking the kids on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I'm going to pick up Olivia on Thursday, and we have a date night on this night. But like, I block it out, and it says like, I call it child support, which is probably not the right thing for my agents to see. But I say child support from like 4 to 9 to make sure I'm home on those nights. But I also, the work-life balance comes when you're in sync with your partner, and you're like, listen, I'll work these 2 late nights, but I'll also be home these 2 early nights, and you got to give me one of these.
Yeah. And I think I kind of want to piggyback on that because I think it's important. And you and I are both a little bit, I won't say out of touch, but I'm going to say out of touch with what it's like to be a new agent because we haven't been one in a while. Yeah. But this work-life balance is kind of almost like the consumer-centric approach, this sort of buzzworthy term. And I will say the balance or the rhythm that I've achieved, I've earned over time.
Yes.
And that's something that I think as a new agent coming into the business, you can't expect to have that sort of balance and see the fruits of your labor. Actually, you will see the fruits of your labor. It won't be a bountiful harvest.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that's really important is kind of setting that expectation for yourself, for your partners as well, is look, like, I kind of got to do the grunt work for a little while to get me to a point where, you know, I can take these trips or I can be at these times. And until I'm there, I'm a little bit on call. But I think that's really important to sort of set that expectation. And that's what we try. We bring on a lot of new agents from outside the industry. And I just tell them, like, this is a straight grind. The people that work hardest, they're not smarter. They do more and they sell more. And when you can get to the point that you can turn away business and you're okay with it, that's when you can achieve work-life balance. Because you can go, I don't have to work tonight. But until then, you need to be on 20 hours a day if you really want to be the top salesperson in your market. Yeah, you really do. Absolutely. I mean, and it's true to a T that you have to have a partner that understands what this business takes, which is not everybody. I mean, like, I just got back from a week away at family vacation, and I swear, like, Zillow, Realtor.com, they have a radar as for family dinner. And, like, there has to be a choice for my wife or I of, like, are we taking this call right now? Are we setting that expectation that, like, hey, let me call you back in an hour kind of thing? Are we making sure that important and urgent things are different? So that's super important. But I always like to ask that question of our guests, not to make you feel bad, but to make everybody else feel normal. Well, one thing I'll say I'd like to share if people are company owners or team leads is you can help with that stress level. So what we've done is nothing groundbreaking. Our coordinators answer the phones during the day, but before we had them, we had a separate cell phone with a team number that was on all the signs, all the marketing. And usually I carried it because I was more of the admin side. But now when the coordinators go home at 5, it rolls to one of our agents all week long in the off hours, and they're on call all weekend. So that way, if you go family vacation and all of a sudden you had Lynn had somebody come in last minute, you call up Sally and go, hey, Sally, you're working this weekend. I need you to show these 4 houses. We pay her, the agent pays mileage and $10 a house. Oh, wow. And it's once every 12 weeks. So I don't want to ask for favors. When you start asking for favors, people take advantage of it. Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic setup. And I think it's one of those things too, that I mean, like, even if you didn't run your team or your business exactly the way Brad is, like, you can make that an opt-in process. Yeah, too. Absolutely. Some of the agents are never going to leave town because they have a spouse that can't leave town. And so, like, they're willing to opt into that. And that's a great way for a newer agent to really pick up some good business and kind of out. My agents have $1 million weekends all the time because they're on call and a signed call comes in. That's awesome. They get it. And it doesn't matter whose listing it is because that you need a break. Don't answer this lead call. Now, they call your own cell phone. I can't help you. But we try and minimize that so you can take some family time and everything else. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's really great. So tell me, if you were to distill it down, what do you believe has been the secret to your success? I would say just drive. I am not the smartest person. I was going to say your wife, but that's true. That's very true. It's drive. It is. I
I don't care what people typically think about me unless I care about that person.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of grinding it and calling leads back in the day, or still today, I still call leads with my agents and getting yelled at and be like, you know what, put it down because the next phone call is worth $5,000. And you just cannot get your feelings hurt in this business. I feel like I'm not the smartest guy. I'm sure there's on my Excel spreadsheets, which I love, somebody could do one sheet and give me the answer I want in 5 minutes. It will take me 5 hours with 10 different sheets, but I'll get there. So it's just that unrelenting drive to be better and to be good, and not necessarily the best, but just to figure out the business and to not quit.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Well, Brad, thank you so much for being willing to share. If somebody wanted to find you, where could they find you?
Right now, they can find me at theartteam.net. That is our website. You'll find me all over there. I'm a camera snob. I'm all over it. I've never found one I don't like. So find me there. I love to share. I love to share anything I do because that's how we get better in this business, is just sharing. So, yeah, I'd love to chat with anybody any further about anything we talked about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. You guys, next month on August 21st at noon Eastern time, we are going to be welcoming Melanie Pichet, who Brad knows well.
Yeah.
She is a fantastic broker out of Toronto. But Melanie, to me, is the godmother, if you will, of online SEO, content, organic search results, all of that sort of stuff. She's going to talk us through how she's built her brand in a very organic way to attract some insane numbers on her website, and how she's kind of structured her business with her husband, Brendan, to be able to take these lavish, amazing vacations as well.
Yeah, I think they're in Paris right now.
Melanie, and we are so grateful to have you guys, and we will see you guys next month. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me.